Ms. Terry.
Hi, Melinda Terry, Central Valley Flood Control Association. I think the issue here is if this were a project level EIR where there was some level of certainty about the actual habitat in these areas taking place, but in this case it's a programmatic EIR where you're talking about opportunities for habitat, which means maybe, possibly, someday we might, and we might not. And so in the meantime, like I said, reclamation districts for Mike Hardesty, we've got reclamation districts, let's say, where we have what are called isolated parcels, and somehow they're going to need to build infrastructure to deliver water, whatever the facilities, pump station, I don't know, drainage. Mike Hardesty kind of referred to this as downzoning. That essentially you're reserving the right to something when you may never do the project there. It's a maybe, it's a possibility. So that's why I say if it were actual project level EIR, that's one thing, but because it's programmatic and there's such a high level of uncertainty that you're going to be asked to either avoid or buy land and mitigate for an area that may never have an EIR that's done and go forward and be planned. So I think that's the concern.
Yep.
I think Tom's always raised the moving, what do you call it, the moving, floating easement. But anyway, so that was Mike Hardesty's thing, is it just seems an overreach that you've gone into a taking level now, because it's a maybe, possibly, someday, but you're mitigating for something that's a maybe, possibly, someday, and that seems you should pay people for that then. Not just.
I think this argument is about other things
Okay.
than the proposal itself. I think it's about two things. It's the preference of all local property owners to absolutely control their property and have no intervention by government for any public purpose whatsoever without their approval. One of the recommendations of the Delta Protection Commission, which we did not approve, the notion that we should say only voluntary actions by private property owners can ever be involved in any public project. We did not approve that. Secondly, I think it is about the fact that people say, well, this has a lot to do with the Bay Delta Conservation Plan because they're also going to preserve land and we don't want to do anything that would support the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. The co-equal goals include protecting, restoring the Delta ecosystem. They don't say talking about it, they say doing it. It is equal in importance to water reliability. And, I wouldn't mind a motion if you want to make a substitute motion that says the Delta Plan shall not include any property unless voluntarily relinquished by a property owner. I would oppose that, but that's at least understandable. The rest of the discussion is so fuzzball that it hides what I think are the real issues here. And of course, this is an endless debate in America as to whether there are any social purposes that allow government to say, yeah, a water project, a sewer project, a road, a university, a hospital, even one that will inconvenience local property owners, does have a larger public interest to proceed. Now, that's what I think is going on. I think we would agree
with that, but your plan is programmatic. You're saying it's an opportunity. It might. It's a maybe. It's a possible. You're not saying it will.
But you're asking, Melinda, you're asking us now, and you've asked us before, to treat a planning document as if it were a project document so you could have certainty about what's on. The purpose of a planning document is to plan generally. And the whole environmental impact process, which we're stuck with, was premised on the notion of projects. But planning over time, California's gotten to the point where you want to start with generic plans and then go through elaborate, detailed public processes when specific proposals are made. So, I understand all this argument, but if this is ultimately about inflating the value of land for required by public purposes, I just ask a question. Do all local governments in the Delta also agree that they are held to the same standards that you are arguing we be held to?
I just think they think it's downsizing and they should be paid.
Got it.